Hello everyone, xForts here, and welcome to an episode of Standoff. It's been quite a while since the last episode, so for those of you who are new to the channel, first of all, welcome. And Standoff is a series where we pit two characters, usually stand users, up against each other, take a look at their abilities and what they're capable of, compare them, and then decide who is better. Today's episode is an exception to the usual stand user versus stand user, as this episode's matchup is between the 300-year-old zombie knight Bruford and the 16-year-old Japanese high school student, Yukako. Every once in a while, I will see someone request this matchup, so I finally decided to break down these two hair-controlling maniacs and see who has a greater ability. This actually isn't the first standoff where we have a non-stand user go up against a stand user. A while back, we did Phantom Blood Dio versus Diego with his stand Scary Monsters. So coincidentally, we have another undead character going up against a stand user. And because of just the nature of how Yukako's Love Deluxe works, it's a very fair matchup as it works in a similar way to Bruford's ability, and is able to be seen by non-stand users. So to start off, the first character and abilities we'll be breaking down is Bruford and his, well, hair. So Bruford is pretty old. He lived as a human up until the year 1565, where he met his tragic death, being executed by decapitation right in front of the woman he had dedicated his life's to corpse. So even after Bruford was dead for hundreds of years, once he was turned into a zombie by Dio during Phantom Blood, his strong feelings of anger and revenge were still very much present and even amplified. This is confirmed because it was stated by Speedwagon himself. So this made Bruford very vulnerable to Dio's manipulation. And along with coming back to life by ironically becoming an undead, Bruford gained some new abilities from his transformation. Abilities that are just add-ons to Bruford's already natural talent of being an incredible warrior and his strange ability of being able to control his hair. Yes, even when Bruford was a human, he could control his hair, although the method or training used to acquire this ability are unknown. And it wasn't as strong as when he was a zombie, as when he was a human, he would mostly use his hair as a distraction, but he was still able to control it. But after becoming a zombie, Bruford's hair controlling ability was massively buffed, allowing him to use his hair as more of an extra limb with a massive range, as his hair was strong enough to hold heavy objects, like his luck sword, and also extend to overwhelm and surround his opponents. His hair also gained an ability that allowed him to suck blood from his opponents by just making contact with their wounds with his hair. So Bruford's hair is some pretty deadly stuff. Oh yeah, and I should also mention a bit more about Bruford's weapon, Luck. Yes, his sword's name is Luck. So besides just being big and sharp, the sword seems to have an ability to curve its blade due to the high speed that it's being swung at, and it just generally seems to do a pretty good job at being a sword. But after being defeated by Jonathan and Bruford's heart is changed by Jonathan's pure and just nature, he gives Jonathan Luck, renaming it to Pluck. So it is now the sword of Luck and Pluck. Pluck pretty much just means courage, if anyone was confused by that whole thing. So pretty much the sword of Luck and Pluck is the sword of good fortune and courage. And it was actually one of the main weapons used to defeat Dio for the first time. So that is about all of Bruford's weapons and abilities, but something to keep in mind is that even when Bruford was just a somewhat regular human, he was fucking strong and had some pretty incredible feats. I mean, he did successfully complete the 77 Reigns trial, which is a 10-kilometer or 6.2 mile mountain climb through cliffs and rivers while wearing extremely heavy armor that only gets heavier, as through the climb the challenger must fight and kill 77 opponents and take the bracelets of their kills. And all of the bracelets together weigh around 220 pounds, making each fight increasingly more difficult. So needless to say, Bruford is a badass. But now to break down Bruford's matchup, the beautiful Yukako. I know it might seem like Yukako doesn't stand a chance when compared against a warrior like Bruford, but she is a stand user, and regardless of the user, stands can be pretty damn powerful. So besides from Yukako's stand, Love Deluxe, she doesn't really have any other abilities that can be used for combat, unless you include her obsessive and psychotic personality, that has been seen strong enough to nullify some stand abilities like Koichi's Soundmaker. But besides from that, I think just her personality and aggressive nature just adds to the ferociousness of her attacks, and possibly even pushes her beyond her limits. So as for Yukako's stand, Love Deluxe, it is a bound stand that is of course bound to her hair and allows her to grow her hair to a pretty substantial length and can be used for combat and utility, moving it at high speeds with decent power, being able to hold Koichi in her hair and throw him around with ease. One of the best aspects of Love Deluxe is that the damage to the stand is not transferred to the user, Yukako, although it is part of her body. Such as if any of her hair is attacked or cut off, it will have no effect on her as she can just grow more hair. She can also detach and shoot strands of her hair as projectiles and then control them remotely, and because no damage transfers to her, she has nothing to worry about if the separated hairs are damaged, which makes Love Deluxe a pretty decent stand to fight from a medium distance. But if Yukako herself takes too much damage or is put under too much stress, her hair will turn white and render the stand useless for a period of time, I assume no longer than a day or two, possibly even just a couple hours. But if the stand is overused and Yukako is damaged, she won't be able to use her stand. So as for Love Deluxe's stand stats, which we all know make no sense, the stand has a B in destructive power, a B in speed, a C in range, A in durability, E in precision, and B in development potential. So the stand's C in range must be a C+ at the least, because we have seen the stand completely surround the outside and inside of an entire house. And as for destructive power, B is acceptable, but A would have been just fine, as the stand has been seen able to easily break through walls. So it seems the stand has the power to easily kill anyone by just impaling them. I mean, Yukako has never really used her stand with very murderous intent before, but just imagine if she was surrounded by a group of enemies. What's stopping her from easily just impaling all of them by shoving her hair through their chest? When you actually look at some of the specific details of Love Deluxe and what it's actually been able to do, it is actually an extremely deadly stand. It's just Yukako never really used it that way. She used it in a very much defensive way, much more than an offensive way, just trying to keep Koichi. Although she has threatened to murder Koichi a few times, although I never think she was really serious about murdering him, it was more just her emotions speaking out of line. And just saying things she doesn't really mean because she's, you know, crazy. Saying things to Koichi like, if I murder you now, you'll always be mine forever and you'll live within my memories. But I mean, that's just Yukako for you. And that's pretty much everything that Yukako and Love Deluxe are capable of. It's a very powerful stand, although Yukako's character herself is nowhere near the sort of warrior or experienced fighter as Bruford. But ability-wise, she definitely outclasses Bruford. So now after breaking down each character and looking at what they're capable of, who is better? Initially, when beginning to write this video, I thought it was going to be an obvious win for Bruford. But after looking at Yukako's Love Deluxe a bit more in depth, Yukako is a bit of a badass. I mean, yeah, Bruford is an incredible warrior who completed the 77 Reigns challenge and is now a blood-hungry zombie with increased abilities, but Love Deluxe is also some serious shit. Yukako is able to fight from a distance and not even have to worry about taking any damage, as she can just protect herself from any projectiles with her stand, and also has the destructive power and speed to kill anyone with ease if she wanted to, possibly even a zombie. Like I mentioned before, if Yukako was surrounded by a group of enemies, I truly believe that Love Deluxe would be more effective at taking them all out when compared to Bruford. Just look at the sheer amount of hair she can create, and as her hair is her stand, it has an A in durability, which would imply that it can endure lots of damage, and also not transfer any damage to Yukako. Bruford's hair controlling really just isn't even comparable to Love Deluxe. It's better in almost every aspect, and also the fact that it is a stand. So when it comes down to just the hair controlling ability, Bruford's versus Yukako, that's just a sweep. Yukako's Love Deluxe just creates more hair, is more powerful, it can be controlled easier, it's more overwhelming, it's just better, it's just so much better. But Bruford is a knight, a warrior, an experienced fighter, so I mean, even if Yukako and Bruford were in a 1-on-1 encounter, I feel like it would be very easy for Yukako to fight him from a distance, but just based on how much experience and how ruthless Bruford is, I think he would leave with Yukako's head. But who knows, with Yukako's emotions, maybe she could be just as ruthless as Bruford and in a fight just easily pin him against the wall and then just use even more hair to strangle him, decapitate him again, put a bunch of holes in him, or just completely rip him apart. Because based on the force that we've seen Love Deluxe use before, that is entirely possible. And Yukako has a much greater range than Bruford, being able to actually extend her hair, so Bruford wouldn't even be able to touch her, even with his Lux Sword. And speaking of the Lux Sword, if Bruford tried to fight his way through Love Deluxe with the sword by just chopping it down, None of that damage is transferred to Yukako, and she can just generate more hair because she seems to have almost an endless reserve of it. And like I mentioned, it might be easy for her to pin Bruford down, and if he tried to, say, throw the sword at her, she could just block it with, yes, her hair. I'm kind of focusing a lot right now on a one-in-one encounter between the two, and the point of Standoff is just sort of to decide whose ability is better. So for me, I'm going to have to say that the winner of this episode of Standoff is Yukako with Love Deluxe. Yes, Bruford can use his hair as sort of an extra limb, but Love Deluxe is sort of 10 extra limbs that are very capable of many things that outclass pretty much all of Bruford's hair abilities. But Bruford very much is a greater warrior when compared to Yukako, obviously. But as always, there will be a card in the top right where you guys can vote on who you think wins this episode of Standoff, the legendary Dark Knight zombie Bruford or the beautiful Yukako. Be sure to let me know in the comments down below if you guys have any requests for future episodes of Standoff. But before you request, make sure you check the playlist that's down below in the description so you don't request a matchup I've already made before. And as always, be sure to like the video if I fought your boredom or if you just enjoyed, and subscribe for more videos. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.